Okay, we are live. Hi, this is William Ramsey. Welcome to William Ramsey Investigates. On today's show, I have a very special guest, returning guest. His name is Hans Utter. Last name is spelled Utter. And this will be our fifth show in the series we've been talking about. Title of it is MKUltra for the Masses. Music is the weapon, from Manson to the Technotronic control state. He was my most popular guest last month for sure. This today is June 7th. So it seems like we've been doing this on a monthly basis. But last time we talked about some really interesting stuff. We were talking about it in the pre-show about how important it is to kind of see this MKUltra stuff going on with the whole rat studies and things like that. Like I was able to pull up that video and talk about it. But we have some interesting people and things today. Gigi Allen, we're going to talk about that. So if you're a little sensitive or have kids in the background, I wouldn't have this running in the background if we're going to talk about Gigi Allen, the notorious Gigi Allen. So Hans Utter, welcome back to the show.
Hey, William. It's great to be here. And it's, I just put this, I won't say through it, but I put it together. And just today, I just got whatever inspired. Well, with this, subject matter, you see that it's very complex. In one way, it's very simple, but, you want to get details and points. So this is sort of, you could say it's the same thing, but it's another way of looking at it that will, if we get through the whole PowerPoint, will actually lead to the actual Technotronic control grid with what it actually is going to be, with actual, details of it. But I just want to open up with the, just a sentiment that all these things are possible and in fact are liable to occur once the focus of your life becomes just yourself, and it's not for something not only greater than yourself, but if you don't have, or at least moving towards an understanding or realization of what you call God or the whatever universal source or anything, you're driven by these types of delusionary actions, and that's what all this is. Even all this, everything from COVID to Manson murders to the serial killer phenomena. But what's it driven by? It's driven by this desire to control nature, to become God, right? Because you have to have some humility. Humility is different from low self-esteem. It's different from, you have the ultimate confidence because of your source, but this is basically what it leads to. So, Gigi Allen, I wanted to just lead off with Gigi Allen just because, before we play this clip, I wanted to just read a couple quotes from him, because Gigi, so people aren't familiar with Gigi Allen. So he was the, I describe him as the sort of the ultimate complete integration of the total do what thou wilt, right? The total integration of quote unquote freedom within the hedonistic paradigm, right? And actually very sad story I'll let you talk about Gigi Allen, but real quick, his name was Jesus Christ Allen. So his birth name was Jesus Christ Allen. And I'm just going to read his last interview before he died. Quote, "I am the underground Messiah. If you have kids, they're my kids. I'm going to own those kids." Next quote, "I am the king. I am the Messiah. I rule the rock and roll underground. I'm bringing us to a revolution against the government, against the police, against any form of society that's putting us down." So that was, and he said, he's, just like Process Church, I'm God and Satan at the same time. But basically he was a completely normal person, until I forget, 18 years old or something like that. And his older brother decided to literally, dose him, lace his Kool-Aid with LSD. He went crazy. He was never the same since after that. Now that could be a cover story, but go ahead and roll the clip. And you want to throw something in about him before you?
Well, I was just going to say there's a really good documentary done in 1993, and we were talking the pre-show. It was directed by Todd Phillips, who just made the most recent Joker, I guess, with Joaquin Phoenix, who won the Best Actor. But that's how far back his career goes. But I highly recommend that. It's definitely not for, the weak. It's really rough, and but it's interesting. Like you said, this is like the encapsulation of Do Without Wilt. Like almost like he was almost like a beast. Like,
Well, but see, Joker, right? Joker is Gigi Allen, right? They're almost the same character. I mean, in different ways, right? They've both been wounded. They're both rebelling against the system. They both have no rules, no boundaries. They're both posited as heroes, right? You know what I mean? And so that's but that's very interesting that he's the first guy. And always, again, it's very, this whole, as we'll get into, right, the influencing machine, the network of the taking us through television, which was developed by an occultist, using, putting the mind into a partial dream state that can last for up to 2 weeks. There's a lot of research done on television. So this is there's the paradise artificial, right? The artificial paradise, which, you have the opium eaters, all the, romantic poets, and they're talking about that. Charles Baudelaire, the flowers of evil, right?
Flower du Mal, right? Yeah. Flower du Mal.
And we'll play some clips. I've got some amazing clips from Owsley and from Jerry. Again, more about Jerry. But I mean, why not hear these guys talk about what they're doing in their own words? Far more compelling to me, trying to implant that above them, right? But this stuff is interconnected. It's interlocked. But at the fundament, it is a choice, right? You make that choice on your own mind. But the fact is that how Gigi Allen, how this guy was, well, we'll see in this movie real quick. But this guy, audiences would physically attack him. He was hated. He was one of the worst, most awful musicians you could imagine. One of his things is as I mentioned to William before the show started, he would always strip naked, run around naked. And he, not to be too blunt here, but he had a very small, nature wasn't that kind. For certain parts of his anatomy. But he would strip naked, and he would, throw his own feces at the audience. I mean, like a monkey in a cage, right? So he would do this stuff, yet he got major, major national media attention. He was promoted. So go ahead, roll it.
He was on talk shows. He would I think he knocked his own teeth out with a microphone, bleed on himself, like super heavy duty type punk stuff.
He was, dude. I mean, there's okay. I was gonna make a joke. I won't do it. I just self-edited.
But another interesting point is that if you're watching on Rockfin, this is actually a real replica. It's not. It's John Wayne Gacy doing a picture of Gigi Allen. Like these guys are connected. That's really,
and it's connected. Yeah. But that is for those people. Sorry, I didn't have the full screen. I didn't see that. Wow. So that's John Wayne Gacy's painting of Gigi Allen.
Yeah, I just confirmed that. Yeah.
Oh my God, dude.
He painted it for this documentary.
But again, it's like not that. I'm sorry. Can I make it full screen? I'm not getting the full screen for the.
Let me see if I can get this.
Oh no, I got it.
You can click that little box on the bottom right.
So John Wayne Gacy doing a picture of Gigi Allen, but again, how many people are trying to make it in the music world, right? How many people really, really suck? Okay, how many people do crazy stuff on stage? Lots. Okay, how many people? Punk rock, extremely alienating music. He got more press and promotion than, thousands of artists, literally, he had international publicity, and he was completely anyone's ever been in music, like the local, even you go up to regional, clubs, right? Go up to your 2,000 seat auditoriums. Most likely you're not going to get any you'll never get national news ever. And you can even have a very solid career doing that. How did this guy, from the most squalid, deprived, depraved, whatever. Underbelly. Okay.
Both.
But
Deprived and depraved, yeah.
But how did this guy suddenly get promoted? Like, what did he have to offer? Nothing. But and there's Iggy Pop was rolling around on the self abuse on stage. It's not new. It's not like he was reinventing the wheel. But of course, he took it to the next level. So
yeah, he was like the most ultimate performance artist ever. Like he earned himself the very pinnacle, bigger than Abramovich or any of these other people. Like this guy went all the way, man. Really crazy, really something else. Yeah, Gacy was put to death the next year, so he made this picture of Allen and then died. I think he drew a couple of things of G.G. Allen. It's weird that
Gacy is in prison. How would he even know about this quote unquote obscure ultra underground artist? Okay, how many? Okay, go ahead. Let's go ahead and
Okay, let me switch over the sound here real quick, and then we'll play this.
But I have not just talking about this. I have not looked into how did he become famous? Who promoted him behind the scenes, right? Because somebody had to.
Right. Can you hear this? Let's see if this goes through. Let's see if this goes through.
And by the way, one thing about this guy, no audio.
Can you hear that?
I cannot.
Okay.
So one thing about this guy is he never bathed. I mean, you could smell him 100 feet away. I mean, he was extremely foul smelling. I mean, like he did not bathe at all. He was like someone in medieval Europe.
All this like ranting and raving.
Can you can't get the audio to work?
Violent man in rock and. Our first guest, G.G. Allen, has been called the most violent man in rock and roll. Some of what you're about to hear may not be suitable for children. Also, 4 nights after G.G. Allen taped this broadcast, he gave his last concert here in New York. As usual, his performance was fraught with the onstage violence that had become his trademark. The next day, G.G. Allen was found dead. A police investigation is underway into the cause of his death, but a drug overdose is suspected. What follows is G.G. Allen's last interview. Parental discretion is strongly advised. This rock musician says he has more power over your children than you do.
Has such a fierce, intense fire burning inside of me. It was so much that just wants to explode.
G.G. Allen brags he's on his way to becoming the leader, the messiah for America's youth. He already claims to have 1 million followers. Wherever he goes, he plays to sell out crowds. And this is what they see. Concerts filled with violence, bloodshed, and sexual assault. G.G. Allen wants to lead America's young people in a bloody revolution to take over the country. And he says nothing can be done to stop him. Why is that, G.G.?
Nobody will stop me because I am the true underground messiah. When you come to my show, you're going to a war. And I'm out for violence, chaos, lawlessness all the way. I don't care about anybody or anything except for myself and my mission. And your kids out there, if you got kids out there, they're going to be my kids. I'm going to own those kids. They're going to do anything that I say.
And why is that? Why do they do anything you say?
Because I'm the king, and they can identify with me because the real true nonconformist children in this country are sick and tired of their parents, their schools, their people force-feeding them what to do. I am the answer. When they listen to my lyrics and they listen to my songs, they're listening to the way that it really should be, and you know that, and I know that, so don't brain, because your kids are my kids.
All right, I don't mean any disrespect here. I had never heard of you before we were going to do this show, okay? And I did a lot of reading about you, all right? Now, I want to know, you seriously mean what you're saying?
Absolutely.
This is not an
I've
act.
been doing this ever since I was a child. This is what you see is what you get. I do this, when I wake up tomorrow morning, I'll still smell the same way, I'll still look the same way. This is not a show, this is not an act. I am that guy.
Now, do you honestly believe that you're a charismatic figure?
I believe that I am the king. I am the messiah. I rule the rock and roll underground. I'm bringing us to a revolution against the government, against the police, against any form of society that is trying to put us down and restrict us in any way, shape, or manner. You cannot conform. You must be a true nonconformist. To hell with what your parents have to say.
Okay.
I am the man.
Okay.
All you have to do is listen to what I have to say.
Okay, well, who told you you were the messiah?
I said I was.
Okay.
And
I wish we could hear it, but I mean, this is what, sickness, infested with sickness and violence.
It consisted of living in a log cabin in the northern woods of New Hampshire with father, mother, and brother.
He
So
sounds
they're
like an
living in
MK
a
Ultra, doesn't he? The story about the LSD dose by his elder brother is probably apocryphal, right?
Right. Mentally sick with asthma, so sickly kid, emotionally uncomfortable conditions within a cabin. Surrounding air was suffocated in destruction. Father hated light. Oh, man, that was weird. His dad was strange. We were more like prisoners than a family. We were prisoners to father, and father was a prisoner of himself. Yeah.
But is that true? Right? I mean, that's what he's saying. You know, he actually so remember that whole thing of the destruction of the family unit, right?
Right.
Project the enemy outside. But so go ahead.
I'm just trying to like he just went so deep. He looks actually kind of semi-normal here. Like
he looks like that guy Rick Springfield.
Yeah, he's not a bad-looking guy. He just destroyed himself. G.G. Allen and that. Yeah. Let's see.
But he had no talent as a musician. Zero. You know what I mean? He's not a musician. I mean, if you define music, I guess you could, you know what I mean? But he was not talented. I mean, he had terrible, just everything was not good about his music.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Yep. You were muted briefly.
Okay, let's see. Let's do this. G.G. Allen is definitely not working.
Well, that's enough. I mean,
can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you fine. I've been hearing you fine actually the whole time.
Okay, good. Yeah. Okay, good. Yeah, it's just that guy was really something else. He was just died at 36, live fast, die young. At the end of that documentary, he overdoses and dies. Like that's how the documentary ended. It's incredible.
Yeah. Almost like 36, 9, 3, 6, right?
Yeah, and the GG's what's a 77. I don't know how much into the occult he was, but
the 77 that keeps popping up. I didn't do much of it, but you see this numerology popping up with like all these different dates. You know what I mean? And for the the operation, and so actually. Just one before we start, one thing I'll say is that the 70s really there was actually way more unrest and stuff going on in the 70s than there were in the 60s. The 60s were just the precursor, right? They were just the gateway drug, so to speak. But the 60s, I mean, we are still under that, the same thing, right now. I mean, it's, so I'll just read the title, Alchemical Networks and Schismogenesis. Pretty cool title. At least I think. Wider applications of implemented social and mental manipulation protocols. So,
right. We talked about schismogenesis in the last episodes too. How to create this. Like, was G.G. Allen schismogenified? Who knows?
Well, completely. And the thing is, though, you have to look at this. There's a Frank Zappa song. I forget what album it's off of, but it's like I want to do nothing and see nothing. I want to just lay around all day. I want to be free. And he has all these sort of, just really like G.G. Allen, like, so you're going to be free from the system by defecating on yourself, by getting beaten up, by breaking your body, by just horrible self-abuse, and yet saying you're a God and Christ and everything. The thing is that he's articulate and intelligent, but it almost seems like everything he says is almost part of the same script. You know what I mean? Like the amount of drugs this guy was doing, I don't know how, it's, but anyways, we'll go continue, but that's your freedom, right? You follow this path. There's your freedom. It doesn't, what are you free from? You're a prisoner. Anyways. So
right, it's his version of freedom, right? It's like free up from all restraint,
which is the rock, which is do what thou wilt.
Yeah, totally Crowley. Yeah, 100%.
Do what thou wilt. And well, how about Kinsey? right? I bet G.G. Allen and Kinsey would have. They
would
have had fun together.
Was Alan bisexual, or what was his interest? I don't know what his predilections were.
Besides his extremely small willy, I don't know much about his sex life. I was like, dude, if I'm gonna run around, I would not do it like that. No, I'm just kidding. But I don't know anything about his sex life. Yeah. He liked people that he liked cropophilia. This kind of gets graphic. He liked people.
Right.
He liked that kind of stuff.
Yeah, just like totally degrade yourself. So that's like Crowley too, right? That's exactly what they said about Crowley's kind of behavior, was really coprophilia and that kind of stuff. Yeah.
But he saw himself as a god right through this degradation.
It's all Crowley. I wonder if he read Crowley. You know, I mean, who knows? Yeah.
Well, see, you always have to look. G.G. Allen, we know about him, right? Again, J.C. Allen to G.G. Allen, 7-7. But we only know about him because of how we got the media, presenting him in his image or his story, his narrative. But they give him he's given like glove treatment. You know what I mean? Like soft, and it's like, anybody that goes against him in the mainstream media is more like, the kid watching it, oh, this guy really stands up to authority. I want to be like Gigi, well, hopefully not. But anyways.
It says here on his bio that stated that he could sleep with 12, 13, and 16-year-old girls, boys, and animals, and claimed that he raped both women and men at his concerts. And that's from the Jane Whitney show. That was what we were just watching.
He's not in jail. Jesus.
Yeah. So I guess he says that on the show. Let me see if I can bring that back up. Share screen.
But you sure the audience has audio from that?
Yeah, they don't. But I'll see if the CC will come out.
Well, no, it's just muted. YouTube is muted. See that?
YouTube. All right, let's try that. See, I can hear that. You can't hear that?
No.
Yeah, see, I hear this.
I can see this. Captions is fine.
Yeah, it says, "I am God." That's what he says here.
I'm the Messiah.
Messiah, yeah. His dad was totally his dad was unstable. His dad, that's how he got the name Jesus. It's from his dad. Pursuit of pleasure into a religion, they are a total hedonist. Stay out all night, do drugs, and party. Oh, that's different. I think. Hold on, is he?
No, I think it's different. Other guests on the show.
Yeah, so there's other guests.
But he was on.
I think he's on the show with that kid who was like the party kid who killed somebody. Remember that story?
Oh yeah.
One of these is one of those guys.
Yeah. You're right.
That guy right there.
Yep. Yeah.
Party guy who like killed somebody and cut him up. This is just a crazy.
Yeah, it's
that dude on the left. I think is the guy who like killed somebody and cut him up in his bathtub.
Yes, he is.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. They're all on the same show.
That is wild. Okay, so there's G.G. Allen. Is he gonna? Oh, there he pops back up. There he is. Jane Whitney show.
Columbus, Ohio. Oh my gosh, so cool.
Yeah, crazy.
But this is his whole entourage. But look.
Yeah, it's the whole squad, and they're all screaming at each other. Oh my gosh.
You're talking about rape on TV and nothing's happening. Yeah.
Right. What was that guy's name? The party boy.
Oh God, he's so creepy, man. They're horrible. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, when I watched a documentary on that party kid, right? And there was this whole. Yeah. I mean, there is a very vast sort of social scene with a complex hierarchy and all that. You know what I mean? So.
He's out of jail too. The guy who's the party boy is already out. Like that dude who is, I think one of these guys is him. Wow, they're all there together. That is shocking. Maybe it says it in these things. JG. I don't know.
Well, we can leave this.
Okay.
We'll move into the meat. This was like
well, that's something to take a look at another time. Party What was that guy's name? He was from New York, right?
Yeah.
What did they call him? Party killer?
Or did he move to New York from the Midwest or something?
God.
Yeah, but I watched it, but yeah, they had a whole scene. They were connected, but yeah. So, okay, did you bring up the PowerPoint? Actually, dive in. I want to try to get to the future from the past. So we slide one. Okay, so if you could roll this, can you go back?
Yeah. Let me pull up the Vimeo.
Yeah. So the influencing machine is very interesting. This is one of I wish I could hear it, unfortunately, but
I'm going to try to pull it up.
Yeah, you can actually just lead off with that. But this was basically the idea of this influencing machine was experienced by people all around the world. It was considered like one of the basic sort of protocols of diagnosing schizophrenia. But yeah, if you drop that video, we can.
Okay, I'm trying to get it in there. There it is. Brooke Gladstone on the media. Can you see that? Let me see that. There it is. That's her. I don't know if the audio is going to come through. Let me see if I can get this thing. God. Explain what this is. What's the influencing machine?
So the influencing machine was sort of an outbreak that happened all around the world. Okay? This has to do with the both electricity and radio. Okay? And it became around 1919 via Vister-Tosk, describing different patients who said they were being influenced by an influencing machine. They were getting signals beamed into their heads, and it was but it was a mass phenomenon, and in fact it became part of the literature. Basically it had to do with these complicated dreams that were controlling the world. An influencing machine projected as a representation. So this famous dancer, what is her name? Natija, or not famous, but she said it was like her eliminate parts of the body, change their organs, they de-objectify, de-realize, basically, but being controlled by these complex machines. Also talking about somatic paranoia. And so there are many people, and it was an apparatus connected also with the genital organ primarily, but all over the world. So it's quite interesting. And it was right when you have electrical, and by the way, electrical wiring can be signal carrier for all kinds of frequencies, right? So your household wiring it's not just electricity it can carry, right? So you can send all kinds of frequencies. But you have people saying that even if they had never heard radio, they were getting these dreams and these delusions, and they said it was affecting their body and their body in the world. That's what's very important, right? It's somatic paranoia. So yeah, if you could play that the video. Now, of course, it's written out as the influencing machine is written or described as just a type of it's a mental illness. It's like how you describe schizophrenia, but its connection as we go further I think is almost startling if you see when we reach the end of this presentation. But yeah, if you could play that clip.
All right, let me try to get it to play. Let's try it. Let's go back here. Mac speakers.
You're sure the audience is getting your sound? I wish I could hear it, man. Oh, there we go.
Can you hear that?
Yeah, I think I heard it. Yep.
Okay, good. Let's go.
No, I can't.
Hi, I'm Brooke Gladstone, co-host of Public Radio's On the Media. Throughout the history of media, there is a recurring theme that the media are controlling our minds. With every new technology, the belief grows stronger that we are in the thrall of external devices. But I reject that idea. Consider the case of Natalia A., who is being treated by Victor Tausk, a disciple of Sigmund Freud. Natalia believes she is under the spell of an electrical apparatus operated by a rejected suitor. She's deaf and mute, so she writes her story down.
For 6 years he's tormented me. The power of his device extends all the way from Berlin to Vienna. I can see it. I can hear it. It's like a coffin lid, but with my shape. Whenever he strikes the machine, my body breaks. And whenever he twists the dial, my head aches. When he strokes the machine, I feel... My mother is controlled by a machine too. So are my friends. But they don't know it. They can't see it. I can't bear it. I want to run away. The machine is so simple now.
No arms, no legs, no sexual organs, no sexual feelings. No.
Tausk sees in Natalia a familiar syndrome whereby people project their own fantasies onto imaginary infernal devices. He writes his groundbreaking treatise on the origins of the influencing machine in schizophrenia.
The patient obviously seeks not to recognize herself in the influencing machine, and thus in self-protection, she disinvests it of all human features. In short, the less human the appearance of the delusion, the less does she recognize herself in it.
Tausk invents a new concept to describe what victims of the syndrome have lost: identity. They no longer know who they are. They have shattered themselves into fragments and projected the shameful bits onto the influencing machine. That is my metaphor for how we see the media. We feared the telegraph, the radio, the television, the computer. Heck, Socrates even disdained writing. But I believe the media are mirrors, a mess of mirrors, and what we fear is not the machine, but the reflection.
Wow. So this is the origin of the influencing machine in schizophrenia right here. Here's the book by Tausk. Can you hear me? No, you're muted. Let's get that.
Actually, the video played for like 2 seconds and it turned off. I was actually listening to it myself. I was playing it separately. So yeah, go ahead. It's really, but there was a whole, there's that guy, what is it? Feinstein, the electric rainbow. He says I think that is like, he talks about Arthur Furstenberg talks about the electricity and the radio, generating all these illnesses. But go ahead. I mean, as we go through this, right, you see this idea, you're being controlled remotely. You're becoming a machine. The ultimate end, as Zizek, Slavoj Zizek, the philosopher, mm-hmm. I read some stuff for his journal or whatever, but one of these conferences he had, it was in Nashville, he said, which is a great thing, he said, the ultimate end of sexual liberation is the complete elimination of all sexuality, right? Wow. You have no sexual organ. You go to the extreme level of sex, it's gone. It self-destructs, and that's what the natology is describing. But go
Interesting. This is interesting too. It says here, one flew over the cuckoo's nest, right? That's Menlo Park. Narrator Chief Bromden believes the psychiatric ward in which he is committed, including the staff, is a machine in the service of a broader combine, his name for a technological society. This portrayal has been described as one of the best known fictional examples of an influencing machine patient. Wow. Did you ever confirm that Bateson worked at the Menlo Park Veterans Hospital?
Yeah, he did. Bateson worked there. Yeah,
that's just off the charts.
Dude. I mean, but the influencing machine. So here's what one thing that people aren't aware of is that there was very, very advanced. You look at all the science fiction. You look at H.G. Wells. You look at not H.G. Wells. Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. I mean, there were they knew about the brain. They were doing brain surgery. They had some very advanced technologies in the 1880s, 1890s, right? 1870. I mean, there was a lot of stuff going on. And if you look at radio, radio was kept sort of under the radar for a long time. But anyways, it is very interesting though that why all these people would have the exact same delusion all over the world over decades, right? And becoming like it. So basically, instead of analyzing, well, what changed, it's like you can see that the autism rates, it just happened by itself. But then if you put that on a graph with the rate of childhood vaccination, they basically follow each other. That's just an accident, right? But what I like about that little clip is that it's also like saying, oh, look how crazy they are, right? Look how these people are, and I'm not saying they're not crazy or whatever, but there's lots of and a lot of this stuff not much left on the web, even now in libraries, right? There's a lot of our history and knowledge is being removed. Now, of course, the influencing machine that this is done, the particular individual is, espousing, look at these crazy people. But it's when this, you never heard of the influencing machine in 1850 or 1890 or 1750 or 1910. You heard it when radio networks and electrical grids were set up, right? And not everybody accessed those grids either, right? It wasn't like everybody had a radio. It wasn't like, there's people who still don't have cell phones who never been on the internet, right? But so, but if you look at just one of those, and sort of log, I just ask everybody, I try not to make like speculative leaps, but just look at that. One Who Flew the Cuckoo's Nest, the influencing machine. There's another link that if you want me to throw this up, I can bring it up, is that there's a very early short story written by Aldous Huxley's brother. Julian Huxley. Yeah, and this is I think it's like 1906 or something, but I'm just going to read a few quotes from this story. Okay. The experiments which excited most his imagination were those he was conducting into math telepathy. He had received his medical training at a time when abnormal psychology was still very unfashionable in England. This is from the fictional story written by Aldous Huxley's brother again, so it's not okay. But luckily had been thrown in contact with a young doctor who was a keen student of hypnotism, through whom he had been introduced to some of the great pioneers like Bramwell and Wingfield. As a result, he became a passable hypnotist himself with a fair knowledge of the literature. So this particular story or book or whatever, this scientist guy is captured by these primitives in Africa. So this is him being held captive. But they have this collective psychological mass hypnosis link in their society, in this weird African tribe he's kidnapped by. But doesn't that first paragraph almost sound like a real person? Mass telepathy. In the early days of his captivity, he became interested in the sacred dances which took place every night of full moon and regarded as appropriations of celestial powers. The dancers all belonged to a special sect. After a series of exciting figures symbolizing various activities of the chase, war and love, the leader conducts his band to a ceremonial beach. He then begins to make passes at them. And what impressed Hanscom is the protagonist, the young doctor, was this, that after a few seconds sufficed for all of them to fall back into a deep hypnosis against the ebony rail. It recalled, he said, the most startling cases of collective hypnosis recorded by the French scientists. The leader next passed from end to end of the bench to the other, whispering a brief sentence into each ear. He then, accorded to immemorial right, approached the priest king, and after having proclaimed, Lord of Majesty, command what thou wilt for thy dancers to perform. This is before any radio existed. Aldous Huxley's brother short story. Command what, this is quote, Lord of Majesty, command what thou wilt for thy dancers to perform. The king would thereupon command some action which had previously been kept secret. The command was often to fetch some object or deposit it at the moon shrine or fight the enemies of the state. And this is what the company liked the most, to be some animal or bird. Whatever the command, the hypnotized men would obey it. For the leader's whispered words had been in order to hear and carry out what the king said. Okay, and it goes on and on. They proceeded, lunged in a symbolic way at invisible memory. They threw themselves at invisible enemies or threw themselves on all fours and roared as lions or galloped like zebras or danced as cranes. The command executed, they stood like stocks or stones. So they stopped, and then the hypnotic trigger is ended. And the witch doctor, okay, I'll read it now, touched each with a finger and said, wake. They woke limp, but conscious of having been the vessels of the unknown spirit, danced back to their special hut or clubhouse. So this is Clubhouse. Okay, I'll let you. This is amazing, though. It goes very deeply into the induction of hypnosis, mass hypnosis, subconscious minds, hypnotized minds, reinforce. Okay, I'll read one more quote from the short story. Later, and this was a culmination of his work. That's Haskell, this, British hypnotist guy that is shipwrecked and kidnapped by this weird tribe in Africa. Later, and this was the culmination of his work, he found that when he made a suggestion to several subjects at once, the telepathic effect was much stronger than if he had done it one at a time. The hypnotized minds were reinforcing each other. Quote, I'm after the super consciousness. Quote, Haskell said, quote, and have already got the rudiments of it. After the super consciousness. Collective hypnosis, before any of this technology existed in a fiction. Okay, there we go.
Wow, that's crazy. That's incredible. So they're like thinking all this stuff. They know, what is it? Essays of a Biologist? Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible. By the way, I just wanted to confirm that this is Michael Alec with G.G. Allen. They're on the same show in '93. And then Alec would kill and cut up that guy in the back. Yeah, that's definitely him. It's 100% confirmed. This is him right here.
Well, then, like I said, I'm not into generating, associations. I think I lost my video. Can you still hear me?
No, you lost your video. Let's just stop cam. It's fine.
That's fine. Okay. So, I'm not drawing a conclusion, but look at him being on the same show with G.G. Allen. And these people got mass media coverage.
Right.
And going, what was the data that the Huxley story?
I'm trying to figure it out. I think it said if it's Essays of a Biologist. I'm trying to find it.
Let me just bring up the link. Yeah. This is amazing.
1923, I think. Is what it says
okay. I'm sorry. Okay. I was
still early. Yeah. Julian Huxley was a big time writer. He wrote a lot of stuff.
But Julian Huxley is almost forgotten, right? He was UNESCO. He was United Nations, right? Yeah. And everyone knows Aldous Huxley. And so, I thought it was earlier. I'm sorry about it. But it's still Well, no, but that's right around the time, with the influencing machine, and basically, I mean that doesn't. Let me see when he. I'm trying to find when he wrote that. But Signals in Department of Zoology, Signals Intelligence Corporation. But this short story, which I don't know if any, I think I'm the only person to really bring this up, is that, I mean, it is like a template for what we're talking about, right? Is it not? I mean, and it's written, but it's not like it's like almost like I mean, it's not even a you know, how do you say it? It's not even like a um, it's not like a story. It's like the way I was reading from it. It sounds almost like a bio. The way, and they're describing going after the super consciousness
Right.
to integrate and generate mass hypnosis that's happening
Right.
in simultaneity. So when people are the influencing machine. Okay, and I'm just I'm not going ancient aliens or whatever, but just to throw it out there, what if there was something to all these people all over the world describing the same thing happening?
Right.
Okay.
No, it's incredible. I mean, it really is incredible. It reminds me of mass formation psychosis or something, where the same thing happened over this whole COVID, where everybody kind of just unhinged themselves from reality. Like they did it through the TV and through the application of propaganda. So something very similar happened. Probably with massive intent, like scientific intent in application. I bet that happened.
Absolutely. And this is the thing. It's part of it is to realize that even I mean there's a lot of people they talk about stuff. Even I saw I've seen certain articles I wrote or whatever. People are sort of borrowing the material, but so I'm going to a deeper level. But I'm trying to impart this thing is that and I can go deeper. Like I did mention last time I have these books coming out. I'm trying to get these original source documents discussing this whole thing, even with the Jazz Age being the first rollout of the 1960s, and so you add and subtract from the mix in terms of well, we'll get into this later, but like the Mandela effect, quote unquote, right? But there's a lot of things with that where, of course, when you have a digitized history, you can change anything. I mean, and I'm not, I'm not like, I don't, I don't think it's beneficial to, just to say, oh, everything's fake, everything's this, everything's that. No, you need to analyze. You need to have your, your awareness engaged, and you can't, you can't say everything's fake. This is stuff when, dude, you blew me away. That guy, that killer, is on the same show with Gigi Allen.
Yep. Michael Alec, yeah.
And who are these guys? They're just some party guy, right?
Yeah.
There's, you go wherever you live, man. There's party guys. Why are these guys on the national media? He was just a hustler selling drugs, right? Selling drugs and being like a scenester.
Yeah, he was a scenester. That's what he was hired to do, is promote. He was like a club promoter.
It was mostly, was it that the Studio 64 or was other clubs, right? Pretty much all over the whole thing with the clubs and drugs.
Right. So he had drugs and was a club guy. I forgot what he was doing. Like,
I mean, he was definitely selling a lot of drugs.
Yeah.
But he was a killer, right? And then it's like, how is he on the same show of Gigi Allen? That's just serendipity, right? But how's a guy that does a Joker movie, which, see, you can see that as the latest iteration, right? Running this, well, it's the same script or the same, sort of archetypal layering, right? Where the Joker and G.G. Allen are closely connected, right? I mean, you
Yes.
agree with me on that?
Yeah, like a public Joker. Yeah, the Joker's kind of like G.G. Allen in some ways. Like he's beyond good and evil, right? And he's having a good time. Like the joke is on the people that he's talking to. Like reality's a big joke.
No, absolutely. But then how about the director? Okay, enough of that. No, but that's what I'm saying. Like these are things where, as we go further into this material, you'll see that it's there's direct connections, and talking about these influencing machines, talking about mass telepathy. Well, just go to the next slide, and then here's the next slide.
Radio.
So this is just from Sidney Gottlieb and Swedker interview with Gottlieb. Some of the projects under MKUltra involved hypnosis. Is that correct? Gottlieb, yes. Swedker, did any of these projects involve something called radio hypnotic intercerebral control, which is a combination, as I understand it, of radio transmission and hypnosis? You just want to leave it right there?
Yeah.
Right. No, just we want to jump in on that.
Oh, I'm just saying, like, this brings to mind Radio Man, right? The person talking to Sirhan. Literally, the shooting of RFK by Sirhan was 2 days ago. So I think it was the 65th anniversary of that shooting. So, and that guy, there's like known that Sirhan was talking to somebody called Radio Man through a radio. It's off the charts. So this is something they were tinkering around with. And Gottlieb was MKUltra head from 53 to whatever in the 60s or something. So they were tinkering around with this stuff. There's no doubt.
Yeah, and it's okay. But the next, let's just finish this. I'm reading it because we're not on video, so I guess people can see the PowerPoint. But radio hypnotic intercerebral control. So intercerebral means what? Both brain hemispheres, right?
Right.
In layman's terms, of radio transmission and hypnosis. So notice we have two different signal chains, signal vectors. One of them being the actual media, the actual words, the actual imagery, the actual content of the media, right? Media content. And then you have a middle component, which is what absorbing that content does to your brain, right? That's why Marshall McLuhan says the medium is a message. Right. There's certain types of things that you take in, depending on how you take it in. If you're texting all day, whatever, you're staring at, Pokemon Go. I've talked about that a while ago. Pokemon Go, which turns out was funded by the CIA. Pokemon Go was an example of mass hypnosis programming. But you have the effect of you have the nerve. What it means is that your brain, your mind, you have the reticular activating system, which is the part of your brain that filters reality in a certain way, right? It's a sort of it's necessary, it's there, but you won't pay attention to certain stimuli. But anyways, so you have what that's doing to you, and then hypnosis. So you have the radio transmission. So the question itself frames it. What is the actual frequency signal doing? What is the carrier wave inducing? What is the electronic media, right? What is the signal interference? And Gottlieb, my answer is no, none whatsoever. And then Gottlieb responds, well, I'm just trying to be responsive to the terms you used. As I remember it, there was a current interest, running interest, all the time in what affects people standing in the field of radio energy have. What effect people's standing in the field of radio energy have. And it could easily have been that somewhere in many projects. Look at these weasel words, right? He's just like, I mean, come on, man.
Right.
Someone was trying to see if you could hypnotize someone
Oops. Sorry.
in a radio beam. That would seem like a reasonable piece of research to do. Thanks, Sydney. Isn't that the most indirect text, right? Look at that. Someone, hypothetically reasonable piece of research. So
Right. That's from the church committee, right?
yes,
Yeah. So Schweiker was kind of either the head or high up on there, talking to these guys, trying to get to the bottom of the stuff. It's incredible.
But so
He was. I think he was a senator too, Schweiker.
So, but let me just, I don't want to go too tangential because I'm trying to get through the material, but notice Gottlieb is using, well, people may not know about, you ever done any stuff on like NLP,
A little bit.
So neurolinguistic programming, right?
Right.
That's a whole nother, people drop the term, they're using NLP. People don't know what NLP is and how it developed and what it actually is, right? I mean, there's, I sort of got in a kerfuffle with someone's name I won't mention on a show when he said the trivium is, weaponized trivium is mind control. Well, what I said is that mind control, if it's the actual trivium, right, which is the the traditional sort of way of learning, logic, grammar, rhetoric, whatever. It's not mind control, and how could it be? Because it's like you learn how to paint a house. You're not you're learning how to paint yourself. Paint yourself into a corner or put what what I mean. You're learning a skill. You learn how to drive a car. Yeah, you can learn how to drive a car. Is that weaponized? Well, if you can't drive a car, you're just weaponized because you can't drive. Or you know what I'm saying? So we have to be careful with the levels of the skill. But in neurolinguistic programming, a lot of it was based on it was Bandler and Grindler. Became very, very prominent in self-help movement until it was implemented on the general population, and then it sort of faded into obscurity. But it really works with language, mind. But one of the main progenitors, the sort of founding father, really, you have Searle, but you have Milton Erickson, right? So Milton Erickson, Ericksonian hypnosis, right? Ericksonian hypnosis is embedded commands within statements, right? Within a statement, you'll embed a command by valencing certain words, and you'll create it. You can just talking to them, and you put someone in a hypnosis. So right at the offset, Gottlieb is using a hypnotic technique.
Wow.
So, pause. I am trying to be responsive to the terms you use. Okay, my answer is no. I am trying to be responsive to the terms you used. So this is the beginning. It's a hypnotic command language. I mean, it's not only that, it's okay. I won't go through the whole analysis. It's a little bit, it would be too much. But
people are using it. If you look into Tony Robbins, there's tapes of videos of him online using NLP techniques on his audiences and himself. Like they use gestures associated with words. So like I have the hit them chest will to do this. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so there would be
anchors, right? And so
anchors.
framing
Exactly.
Anchors.
Exactly.
And one interesting, offshoot of NLP was the PUI, the pickup artist, right? PU, whatever they're called. They had the show on MTV. The using. In fact, this guy gave me. Unfortunately, I don't want to go into too much detail. He's no longer with us in the realm of the living, but I got some stuff from his family, and one of these things was a 10 CD course, right, on NLP to pick up women, and it was some guy giving a seminar. This was like a $700 box set. But anyways, it was straight NLP and how to do that: language, framing, tone, voice, Ericksonian hypnosis. But just to break this down just a little bit, as I remember it. So this is like as you remember it, right? So this is, anyways, there was a current, electrical current running running current, right? All the time. Current interest, running interest all the time. And what affects, and this is a weird phrase, what affects peoples, not what affects a person, peoples. So look at this. So this is very important, actually. What he's saying to those who don't know, peoples, they not, so it's a possessive, right? So this is peoples with apostrophe S. And what affects people standing in the field of radio energy have? What if people standing? This is standing before the law. This is people's being possessed by these frequencies. And so standing in a radio beam, standing. So this is standing. This is a legal term. This is in Congress, standing before the law.
Do you have standing? Right. Those are huge issues with this whole vote fraud thing. Did you have standing to bring the case? Yeah.
Well, but notice how he's using the word standing. It's a very weird answer, isn't it?
Yeah.
Standing. And then standing in a radio beam. Standing in a radio beam. Okay, so anyways, people, but it's peoples that affect people standing. Look, actually, no. What affects people standing? Are they still legally, do they still have a legal standing if they're controlled by this? Right? Could that,
I don't know. Good question.
But if you look at that text, I don't know. It doesn't it make, okay, anyways, I don't want to belabor it, but to think about it as a legal thing, people standing, you wouldn't say current interest, what affects people standing. He's saying people standing in the field of radio energy have. You know, it's not saying what effects it has on people standing. You know what I mean? It's anyways. But what do you think about that? Like that legal terminology is quite interesting, right?
It is interesting, yeah. The word standing, it goes way back. Standing relates to somebody being affected by some type of action, has to have standing to do it. So I can't bring a case for you. If you got wronged, I cannot stand in your position. You know, if you got hit by a car, I can't bring a case for you. You have to have some type of tort, some form of harm happen to you. So that's kind of, that's the basis of the use of that term, standing.
But standing is a type of being, right? I mean, in terms of the law, standing is like almost your being, like your status, your existential possibilities, right? Of what you can and can't do, or even how you're defined, as you said. So there's also this idea of voluntarily standing. Oh, well, I've just told them what we're doing in this weird, hypnotic suggestion. Okay, answer. But let's move on so I don't go too.
No, but that is interesting. This goes all the way back to the importance of the church committee, right? This goes all the way back because it wasn't just about getting information about kind of the assassination, but everything, MKUltra, all kinds of stuff. They investigated everything. And then Church died like young, 56. Fairly young,
So you're getting my audio, right?
Yes.
That's good. Okay, cool.
Yes.
All right, cool. Well, let's move on.
Right.
So all of this, we have, as I opened the show with, there's different levels. So let's hit another level, or just another aspect, summoning the third aeon, right? And so this is a quote about someone who was at the Altamont concert. Strangely, several of the kids were stripping off their clothes and crawling to the stage as if it were a high altar, there to offer themselves as victims for the boots and cues of the angels. Those are pull sticks, right? So pull cues. The more they were beaten and bloodied, the more they were impelled, as if by some supernatural force, to offer themselves as human sacrifices to these agents of Satan.
Wow.
And that's from the Altamont concert, right? Which was, well, as we'll see, is. Anyways, go ahead, boy.
No, but the Altamont concert was the bookend to the bloody 60s, right? That's where it all ended. That's kind of was the final book on everything. Like they're playing Sympathy for the Devil or whatever. A lot of people were there at Altamont too, strangely enough. It was like weird stuff. Do you know that Jolly and West was like involved in getting Altamont? Like,
no!
Yeah.
No!
Yeah, no.
Oh my God, you're kidding me.
No, I'm not kidding you at
Oh my
all.
God.
He's involved. Leary's there. So Leary, you have him on the slides. Leary was
Leary?
flown in. Yeah.
Yeah. Leary was there, but I mean that is like some of the stuff like that, because I got into that party kid killer thing, for a bit, a couple years ago. So I knew about that case for quite a lot, and seeing him there, and then you telling me that Jolly West was involved in Altamont.
Yeah, no doubt. There's absolutely no doubt that he was involved in some kind of like I'm suggesting Altamont was an alternate. It was an alternate venue, right? So there.
Yeah. No, I'm here.
I'm almost. Yeah, he was almost like as an alternate thing. Yeah, I forgot how it happened. Oh, let me see if I can find it.
But this restaurant. That's that's just wild. Like if Leary being there, of course, then you have the quote unquote Mandela effect. Oh, quote from Timothy Leary: I had to attend a psychology conference where I was a keynote speaker, so I was unfortunately unable to attend Altamont. Yeah, you got pictures of him sitting on the throne stage, before the ritual diadem, But G.G. Allen crawling, the boots and cues of the angel, being crawling on the stage to the high altar. Is that not what G.G. Allen is doing? When you crawl before your Lord Satan, you're, abusing yourself. You're whatever. It's the, unless you're like hanging out with Elon Musk, man, that's your. Okay, anyways, go ahead.
Right.
But it's amazing, like this stripping off their clothes and crawling to the stage, right? So we can go through one of those things of the influencing machine, right? No clothes or crawling. One of the things of that story by Julian Huxley, they could be made to act like animals, various animals, right? Crawling like animals. Okay. That's wild. Like, if Jolly West is there, with his.
No, I'm trying to find that reference. I'm almost positive he was involved in some way or another. But did you know that Ken Kesey was there too, or was involved?
I didn't actually. Well, one thing we should say about Altamont real quick is this.
Yeah, we could do a whole nother show on Altamont.
Yeah. So much Altamont was the first ever live broadcast snuff film, and it opens up, and it's considered to be like an important art film, right? Because you have what you call a meta. It's a meta film, meaning that the film opens up with Mick Jagger in the cutting room, right? In the film, when they had actual physical film, he's in the cutting room reviewing the footage of this concert. And so it was filmed. They had the whole film crew, and then the film came out, and it starts out with him in the editing room, just as the movie White Noise, which I did that, we did a little bit on that. I know you've done shows on White Noise. It opens with the same thing. It's a mirror image. It's another weird mirror imaging. White Noise opens with the professor presenting clips of car crashes. Give Me Shelter, the film. Give me shelter. If I don't get some shelter, okay, whatever. The Stones, blah, blah, blah. That song, the movie, and it just so happened we're shooting this film, and it just so happens that this killing, Green is killed. the Green Man sacrifice. Oh, and then but let's open the film up not with a memorial to the guy who died. Let's open the film up, with disclaimer. This was because you watch movies from that era. Still, you're going to see relatively conservative filmmaking, unless it's like sleazy LSD lesbians, at Satan's Castle or something. One of those schlock movies. Generally speaking, there's still a running social decorum. It would start out with a opening statement. Someone was killed at this concert. We regret any scenes of violence that are shown. No, you start out with Mick Jagger as the alchemist in his chamber looking at the pre-scripted event in the film editing machine, just as you see the same thing in the film White Noise. I know. You follow me with that? I mean,
Yep.
So, I mean, this is, yep. It's, it's the same thing though, right? I mean, it's like, they're showing you that this was like we're editing this movie. But all these bands played, man, right? But the only footage we ever have of Altamont is just the Rolling Stones in that documentary, right? Didn't all the major bands of that era play there?
Yeah, it was, let's see, Jefferson Airplane, Rolling Stones. Who else was in it? I can't think of anything offhand. It's
but Santana,
Santana, that's right.
Santana, he says that he's like, oh, well, I'm not sure what happened, but I guess the astrologer should have looked more carefully because things were not aligned.
Right. Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. So yeah, there's all the big ones were there. So yeah, crazy.
Yeah. So anyways, so let's continue.
So that's kind of like the stage. Look at the star, the golden star there on the bottom or whatever.
I mean, look at that star though.
Yeah.
That star. In these pictures, right? And these are like scripted. These are like the scripted epic pictures, right? You could, if you want to bring up some more pictures, because we see the sign he's wearing.
Can
you bring? You can go to Google if you want. Real quick.
Okay, let me see.
Bring up some more images from the show. And what that star is? Because that's a very interesting. It's obviously an occult symbol. It's similar to what you see in the CIA headquarters, is it not?
Right, the kind of like what do you call it? Like different beams coming out of the star. Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure that Jolly West was involved in some type of selection of that venue because they moved the venue to Altamont, if I remember. That's how crazy it is. I have to go back and find that reference.
Okay, well, no, but that show, I mean, even Altamont. See, we got further in, we'll go further in my PowerPoint. I talk about Alamut, right? Alamut. So, without bringing the picture up, what was the symbol Mick Jagger was wearing? The Omega, the Alpha and the Omega. I am the Alpha and the Omega. This is the Omega point. This is the end, right? With his red satanic cape. And the way they edited the footage for the documentary Gimme Shelter, that they changed the song because he was playing, they changed the I think they changed it to what the song Gimme Shelter actually when the murder happened, right? And when it was Sympathy for the Devil that they were playing when he was murdered. They actually changed the soundtrack. Did you know that?
Nope.
Yeah, they edited the soundtrack for that movie. Which was that when they were playing Sympathy for the Devil, and they changed the song, they changed the audio track when the killing happened in the film. You know what I mean? So they manipulated it. So, but anyways, he was his shirt symbol was an Omega, right? So he has the Omega Man. You know that movie Omega?
Right.
Man?
Yeah, that's Chet Heston, right? Charlton Heston, best friends with Jolly and West.
Yep. Oh, dude, I got to I got when I was a little kid. I actually got to sit next to Charlton Heston on an airplane, man.
Wow.
And my my cousin, much older from California, because my uncle was a pilot, lived in California. It was a first class, and Charlton Heston was there, and I lost it. I was probably 5 years old or something, but I lost the thing. But I had Charlton Heston. He's like one of the great bad actors. I mean,
Right.
Oh my God, what is it? Planet of the Apes. Well, Planet of the Apes. This is all. So we're tying all these things together. Which is, it's much easier to almost do, a dialogue. That, Planet of the Apes, Charlton Heston, because part of this with the what Julian Huxley is talking about, this sort of collective hypnosis triggers going to the supra-consciousness, creating mass collective impulses, is that certain actors get associated with certain characters, right? And Planet of the Apes is actually very important, but he was in a number of those apocalyptic films, right? In the 70s. But anyways,
Right.
Okay, well, we can go back to the PowerPoint.
Okay, let's go back. Stop PowerPoint, enter stream.
Okay, so I'll just read my slide here. Rolling Stone magazine featured a cover story on the event on January 21st, 1970, 121. Okay, they interview a concert goer regarding the ritual murder. Quote, I think there were 2 people that stabbed him. One had his hair straight. It was straight and thick, and it was straight back, combed straight back. Okay, what I'm telling you also is notice what is coming into the media. The mass media is a Rolling Stone interview of this concert goer, right? So just notice some, okay, and maybe people talk this way naturally, I'm saying. Okay, combed straight back. The front of his, he combed it back so much that the front of his head was kind of bald, getting thin. I know what he looks like, but I can't describe him. What? We rubbed his back up and down to get the blood off so we could see, and there was a big hole on his spine and a big hole on the side, and there was a big hole in his temple, a big open slice. You could see all the way in. You could see inside. You could see at least an inch down and stuff, And then there was a big hole right there's no ribs on his back. And then the side of his head was just sliced open. I couldn't see so far in. It was bleeding quite heavy. But his back wasn't bleeding too heavy after that. There, all of us were drenched in blood. That's a pretty far out, right?
Crazy.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't get into that, but this is also how people are perceiving the event. This is how the event is being disseminated in consciousness, right? It's being magnified. Okay, but
Absolutely magnified, yeah, no doubt.
But just note what this is a super complex subject. I will get into it, but notice straight, comb straight back. Of course, straight was what? Straight was the enemy, right? For the counterculture, right?
Right.
Straight. He's noticed all these details. Straight back. He combed it back. The back of his. This. And imagine some hippie tripping on LSD. This is a hypnotic suggestion command. But anyways, see inside. Blah blah blah. I won't go into it. But it's like a. Why would you even include if someone is that burned out and actually said that to me in an interview? I wouldn't include them in my article. But anyways, move on. We can go to the next slide.
All right, let's go to the next slide. I got about another 15 minutes.
Okay.
Old Man of the Mountain, yeah.
Yep.
That's the Ibn whatever.
Hassani
Hashashin, yeah.
Hassani Saba, Hashashin's right. And so this is, he's very, very prominent in a lot of ways, right? So Hassani Saba was sort of an apostate. It's called Ismailis, and they were sort of an apostate Islamic group. But anyways, they ended up like creating this sort of mind-controlled paradise where people would get kidnapped. They would wake up in this beautiful,
Paradise used to be kind of like a square. It used to be kind of an internal courtyard. That's where the word comes from in Persian, right? So that's how we get the word paradise, is like some almost a garden of earthly delights, right?
Yeah, but Hassani Saba he was an actual person, right? He was very powerful politically. They had this mountain fortress where Alamut, Altamont. Basically,
Oh
Altamont.
wow,
Altamont is the same word. That was his
wow.
fortress, and they had embedded assassins all throughout the world. They could kill with impunity. I mean, they were feared. But I'll read the quote. But he was called the Old Man of the Mountain with his secret mountain citadel. People, initiates would be drugged. They'd wake up and they'd be surrounded by beautiful naked women. This is when it was like, you couldn't hear music, strict, Islamic culture, naked women, drugs, wine. They thought they had gone to heaven. They thought they were literally in heaven. They woke up and they're literally in this paradise. And they can do anything they want, and then they come back, and then they're initiated as assassins and trained, and they had their own military. But, okay, there it is. Quote, the initiates will be drugged with hashish and then awakened to a veritable paradise. I guess I just said that without reading the quote. It's actually my own quote, but okay, where beautiful women pleasured them and wine and intoxicants flowed freely. Saba convinced his followers that they had been taken to paradise, and many were willing to sacrifice their lives to attain it again. Sabbatean heresy went against the core values of Islam, but could be philosophically supported under the rubric Ismaili beliefs by preferring that time itself had ended. So time had ended, the end of history, right? The fourth industrial revolution. And since we live in the post-Qiyamah, Qiyamah means the day of judgment, right? We live in a post-Qiyamah era. They're saying that time already ended. The day of judgment has happened. This is not even real. Keeping the codes were no longer necessary. In fact, the breaking of these codes was required. So that's do what thou wilt. And he actually, okay, you can go to the next slide. Sani Saba, so it comes of Hashishan. So this is a Let It Bleed album cover that has the song Give Me Shelter. There's a bunch of symbolic imagery in here. You have the band on the front. You have the tire. There's the clock. And then you have the shattered image. And this is a precursor to the Altamont concert thing. And it's a very odd. And look, there's a film can. There was never a film Rolling Stones Let It Bleed. That's a film canister. You see that?
Oh, you're right. Yep.
There's a clock facing. There's a lot of symbolism in this. I won't. And it shows the film sticking out. That's not tape. That's film.
Right.
This is a preview.
Wow.
Yeah.
Or Crowley and Leary. Wow.
Okay. So basically, Aleister Crowley, he acquired the Enochian keys of John Dee and was intent on accessing the promised 19th dimension ethers of consciousness, alternate realities Dee described. Here, in the use of a person as a material basis to invoke the spirit. So this is a quote from Crowley. Here, in the use of a person as a material basis, that means that you are being used as fodder to invoke the spirit. You are being you know what I mean? You're the materia. You are the lead. You are going to that concert. You are being used. The ritual, the people that attended Altamont were the material basis for the spell worked upon the mass humanity. This is Crowley. Okay, was a startling innovation in tradition. So what he's saying here is that the use of a person as a material basis. So this is also almost like legal language, right? Material basis means as the inhabitation of the ritual. Not you're not talking about human sacrifice. You're talking about collective. We'll go on. I wrote, moreover, a ritual on entirely new principles. I retained the Kabbalistic names and formula, but wrote most of the invocations in poetry. Okay, most of the invocations in poetry. That means what? It's art. It's art. It is a entertainment. It is literature, whatever. The idea was to work up the magical enthusiasm. So, you want to say something about magical enthusiasm? It doesn't mean like, hey, let's go do magic, right?
Right. Yeah, I think he had like a ritual called energized enthusiasm or something like that, if I remember.
But enthusiasm means what? To be filled with spirit.
Right, there you go.
So, through the exhilaration induced by music, so here's the italicized words. Poetry is italicized, music is italicized. Confessions, Aleister Crowley, page 633. Magical enthusiasm means to work up the spiritual possession of the audience through the material base. They become the material basis. They become the well, obviously we're not going to get through this whole thing today. So, but when we finish this, you'll see how this ties in. But so then, Leary recreating Crowley's ritual, intense visions of entire histories of the world, floating pyramids, a cosmic ferry boat between life and death, and an ascent into the moon. In the morning, Leary walked in circles, reciting Enochian magic spells, refusing to communicate with Barrett, who wrote this book about them doing the ritual. And John Dee appeared to both of them. Do you know that? John Dee manifested to both Leary and Barrett when they redid the Corazon summoning.
Corazon, yeah. They were both in Algeria. Barrett, for people who don't know, was Leary's buddy. He was a drug dealer. But they were in Usada together, yeah. That's kind of where Leary kind of like, hey, I'm carrying on the tradition of Crowley.
But no, but they literally did the ritual, and John Dee came and manifested it. Wow, and then you got Leary on the 60th anniversary of Crowley's ritual. The exact date is sitting on stage at Altamont for the human sacrifice.
Wow. That's crazy.
And that, that's just a coincidence, right? Leary, who was like public enemy #1, suddenly is able just to travel back to the States. No problem, bro. Come on back. But it goes very detailed. I mean, they met. I mean, Leary, the ethers, the Enochian keys, which are, we can find this in string theory. But I will posit one thing is that part of this process, right, of usurping the will of humanity is that, as I open up with, I mean, there are different dimensions, right, of experience. I mean, we can experience them in a lot of different ways, but, there's dark and light, but I mean, they're trying to access interdimensional, this is a very high level operation. And they're pretty detailed. String theory talks about these different dimensions. You have 11 dimensions, you have 21 dimensions, 19 dimensions. But this is all interlocked, interlinked, then with the ritual sacrifice, and then with the Omega. Crowley is the Alpha, and Mick Jagger's the Omega, right? Redoing the same ritual 60 years, closing the cycle, bringing in the third Aeon.
Right, it's December 6th, 1909.
Yep, and December 6th, 1969.
Right. Wow, that's amazing.
You got we do, you got to.
That is incredible. What's that?
We have to, if you have to bounce, we can do one more.
That's all right, we can, well, there it is. So that's the next, that's what you're saying on the numerology. It makes perfect sense. Wow, crazy.
Yeah. And that is, again, Mick Jagger has the Omega sign. And Leary, who had recreated this ritual, note for note. So let's go back. I guess we can go through all.
Let's go.
You got a balance.
So you've got the 77 days.
Yeah. So you have and then 799. I mean, there's a bunch of you know what? This I was running out of time, so I kind of slopped this together. But 8/8/8/1969, which is Manson murders between the Beatles. You have that 799 days. You have the Summer of Love 1/14/67. To Manson is 937 days. 1/8/1967/81. I won't get into all the numerology, but there's a lot of things that are. There's a lot of weird. I just threw this together, but I mean, just that, right?
Just that is remarkable. Yeah. I mean, it can't be by accident.
And then Alamant, right, which is Hassani Saba, who was really the first sex, drugs, and rock and roll guy, right? His son, basically, he said, "Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law." Literally. I mean, he said, the chains of the law are broken. He was assassinated, but he literally said the same thing. And he was who really promoted him, William S. Burroughs, right?
Right. That's right. Yeah.
And the old man of the mountain, but Hassani Saba and he ties into Sabbatai Zebi, right?
If you want an interesting connection, you can go watch Performance that was directed by Donald Campbell, and Mick Jagger's reading from a book, reciting stuff from Hassani Saba.
Dude, that's crazy. You're kidding me. Go forward a bit. I have a slide on the movie Performance.
Yeah.
Wait, they may be out of order.
But Campbell actually sat on Curly's knee. Like his dad wrote a biography about him.
You know what? Maybe we can call it here because I may have said just flip through all the slides. I have something on.
That's it. You don't have anything on Performance yet, but that'll be the next show.
No. You know what? I sent you the
video.
Well, no. When I converted it, I guess there's a bunch of missing slides because I had all that stuff. In fact, I had all. That's why I was surprised at 6G. It should be. How many slides do you have?
Let's see if I got it. I only had one. When you sent something to me,
so
you sent the G.G. Allen links, but I don't have all the slides. Let me see. Let me double up. Maybe I have it. No, you only sent me one PDF. That was it. This is it. 15 slides.
Okay. Yeah. You know what?
PDF sub on. That'll be the next show. Where can people find your material, Hans?
Okay. HansUtter.com, musicmindcontrol.wordpress.com. And hopefully, I'll be getting this out. So that's the main thing. Shoot me an email, hansutter@hotmail.com. Appreciate any communication. I've got several books coming out, just trying to get the logistics there. But
what are the subject of your books that are coming out? What are the subject books?
Well, actually, there's a lot of backlog stuff, right? I just did an academic publication a couple of days ago. It was a pain in the ass, but that's probably those books are. But anyways, that actually is quite
guys. Yeah, guys, look for version 6 of this series. We're going to go into Performance. I know a lot about Performance. I know a lot about Campbell and Mick Jagger. I'll have the videos too. I'll have the videos ready and we'll upload them. Yeah.
That 6G stuff that was like they're not there in what we did. I have 2 slides on Performance, man. Which is nice. When you brought that up, there. I guess I didn't when I bounced it out of the PDF, I didn't save it with that. But Performance is that's exactly where I was going to go before.
It's considered to be one of the top 100 British films ever made. It's Performance. By Campbell. Literally, you can go up, look at his dad, Donald Campbell's dad. You see a biography of Aleister Crowley, who knew him when he was in Scotland. So crazy stuff. Really interesting connections. But we'll go into that version 6. So Hans Utter, last name spelled Utter. And this was MKULTRA for the masses. Music is the weapon. From Manson to the Technotronic control state, number 5. Thanks so much for your time.
Yeah. Hey, and William, just real quick, say, so my books, I've got several books on the music stuff, including something more historical, healing, Then I've got a couple fiction works, and I've got some basically, I guess you could call self-help books, but basically different kinds of programs and stuff. So I've got 3 different series. They'll be coming out soon, and so absolutely.
Nice. And you can find those you can find links to them on your website, correct?
You will be able to find them. I have a web designer who's doing my website, and hopefully it will be done soon. So so he's got the links. You just got to put those in.
Awesome. Right. Thanks so much for your time. Fascinating. Again, another superb job on a fascinating conversation. Thanks so much for your time.
Hey, William, thank you so much for having me.
All right, cheers.